Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the High Post Podcast. This is episode number 2 that we got for y'all today. We are going to be talking about the Nuggets. Surprise, surprise. But we are specifically going to be talking about this 10-8 start, what's been going on, what problems is this team facing, why does every game feel like a struggle, and what possible solutions are there. So specifically, I want to list out the problems that I kind of want to touch on during this episode. The team straight up cannot defend, like at any level. We need someone else to be an efficient playmaker and scorer outside of Jokic. We need to talk about the rebounding and the backup big situation because it has been something that has been looming large, obviously for a couple seasons now, but especially this year. The fact that people are having really, really good career games against us. With, a couple of the names that over the past 2 weeks have been putting on some performances that I feel like they shouldn't be putting up against us. So we'll talk about that, and we'll give some light praise at some point in this video to the offense being good, being top 5, shooting well, yada yada. So I don't want to make this like a 45-minute or hour-long episode because I don't think it needs to be. These are just some thoughts that I've been having that manifested after the Clippers game, the last Clippers game on December 1st. Oh boy, James Harden, 39 points, 11 assists, and 9 rebounds, a near 40-point triple-double. It just, man, it's a lot. Which segues into the start of this video and talking about the defense problems that the Nuggets face. So before we get into the anecdotal stuff, I want to give out some hard numbers about this Nuggets defense that concern me, and I'm sure concern a lot of people out there. The team is allowing 52.5 points in the paint given up, which is the third most in the entire league. 114 defensive rating, which ranks around the middle of the pack. 116 points allowed, which is the 7th most. A 47% field goal percentage for their opponent, which is 13th most. 15 second chance points given up, 8th most. 8th most. And what is, just to give some context to that, first place is 17 second chance points given up. 12.1 offensive rebounds allowed, which is the 4th most, which is something that I think is a lot more important than people are realizing, or at least not talked about as enough. Outside of the Nuggets sphere, because I feel like a lot of the fan base understands that rebounding is a problem, but outside of that, needs to shed some light on that because it's a problem. It's a real problem. And opponents are shooting 67% from inside of 5 feet against the Nuggets, which is third highest rather in the league. And some of the teams around that area, just to give you some more context, the Wizards, the Jazz, the Bulls, the Lakers, Clippers, etc. That's a lot of numbers that don't give me a lot of confidence in a extended playoff run. The confidence in this defense has just been steadily going down and down and down. And let's be clear. Yes, the Nuggets last year were a top 10 defense, but defense is not their identity whatsoever. And personnel-wise, I just don't think we have the tools to be a top 5, top 10 defense this year. Obviously not this year. I want to talk about some of the specifics in that and some of the opponents we've been seeing, and more closely, the amount of 120-point games that we've given up this year. Like, it is insane to think that, yes, of course, the NBA is moving toward a more scoring-friendly, more offensive-friendly way of life. But the fact that out of 18 games so far, half of them have been where we give up over 120 points. 8 out of the 18 games we've played so far. And it's not just OT games. Like, yeah, we've had 2 overtime games so far, one to the Nets and one to the Raptors. In the Nets game, we allowed 139 points. This was a win, by the way. Allowed 139 points in just one overtime period, which was the second most we've given up. I'll get to who was first in a second, but you guys already know. And then we gave up over 120 to the tanking Raptors in overtime. First of all, going to overtime with the Raptors, given the state that they're in, is embarrassing on its own. I don't give a fuck any circumstance whatsoever. Going to OT and nearly losing to the Raptors is not a good look in itself. It's a fucking problem. So those two games, those were into OT, over 120 points. In regulation, the Thunder have scored 120. The Miami Heat I wrote exclamation marks in parentheses next to the Miami Heat because what the fuck? Dallas has done it twice against us, which I would say is no surprise there. The Clippers did it to us in the last game they just won. And remember when I said that the Nets were the second most points we gave up this year? The New York Knicks, in regulation, scored 145 points on us. 145 points in regulation. Again, I'll say, I don't give a fuck what the circumstances are surrounding this game. 145 points given up is such a I'm trying to think of the word. It's disheartening. It's concerning. It just makes me not have faith. Because that's a ridiculous fucking number to put up in 48 minutes, which leads to the specifics of the defense, which we'll get into in a little bit. But before that, I want to piggybacking off that 145, OG Anunoby scored 40 points, which was a career fucking high. And this has been a little bit of a theme this season when it comes to role players or players who shouldn't really be scoring the points that they do, play the Nuggets and have career games. So, like I said, OG Anunoby, 40 points. That was a career high for him. Najee Marshall, 28 points. That was a career high for him. Najee Marshall. But yeah, he had a career high. Santi Aldama scored 28 points. Dennis Schroeder, 28 points. Jakob Poeltl, 24 and 11. Grady Dick, 26 points. Duncan Robinson, 20 points in 20 minutes. At a certain point, there has to be some sort of pride. The game as a whole, yeah, sure. You want to play good defense throughout the entire game. But if you want to key in on some very specific things about the defense, there has to be some sort of pride in not allowing players to grab their career highs off you. It was a problem with the Pistons last season. Career high this, career high that, 60 point here, 60 point there, 70 point. It's too much. And at a certain point, players around the league are going to start looking at your defense. They're going to start looking at, oh shit, OG dropped 40 on y'all. Y'all let Najee drop 26 on y'all? Y'all let Duncan Robinson come in for less than half the game and still drop 20? Other teams around the league are looking at that and saying, oh yeah, that's food. Oh yeah, that's easy. Oh yeah, wait, man, play how you want against the Nuggets. Is their defense going to stop you? No. In the fourth quarter, maybe they will. Maybe they'll get a couple stops, maybe late game or late down the stretch. The Nuggets will put together a string of stops, sure, but for the first 3 quarters, you're going to get whatever the fuck you want. And other teams, I feel see that. Other players lick their chops when the Nuggets are on the schedule because they know, hey, there's a chance for me to drop 25, 30, and I average 15. I average 16, 17, but I can go in here and drop what I want because there's not going to be any resistance. And speaking of resistance, the screen switching, the screening defense in general, we all knew it was going to take a hit when KCP left. But it's gotten to a point where a lot of our players are just giving up. They're not trying to fight over the screens. They're not trying to stay attached to their matchup. They're just letting the switches happen, which allows players like Jamal, like Jokic, to get constantly hunted out on the perimeter. The perimeter defense is scary. It really, really makes me miss guys like Bruce Brown and KCP because defensively they brought so much, especially at the guard positions, that it mitigated other weaker points of this defense. Like I said, I've said it in a couple videos over the last 2 seasons when we did have Bruce. The first year we had both of them, Bruce and KCP, and then the second year when we just had KCP. The Nuggets had event creation on the perimeter defensively. They were able to blow up screening actions because players like KCP and players like Bruce were actually trying to play against the screen. The lack of that navigation now is exploiting the defense as a whole. Because once you do give up the screening switch, what happens downhill? So many downhill advantages coming from the perimeter, which creates 3-on-2s. It creates 4-on-3s. And now, once again, like they have been all season long. And honestly, I feel like it's been an issue for a couple years now. The rotations, we're scrambling. It seems like every single play, the Nuggets are just trying to get back into a defense. No matter how the other team brings the ball up, how slow they bring it up, how fast, the Nuggets just always seem to be scrambling and out of position and always at a disadvantage. And I don't get it. It's frustrating to watch because you're looking at all of these NBA players and they're just, I don't want to say they're giving up or like not trying, but the effort simply defensively is not there. Maybe it's not an effort thing. Maybe it's a skill thing because I know Jamal Murray is not a good defender. I know MPJ, as many strides as he's taken as a player, especially defensively, the things that I've not called him out, but the things I've praised him for defensively, players like Christian Brown, players like Peyton Watson, AG, I think individually are good defenders, and you can't take that away from any of them. They are good defenders by themselves. But when the rest of the team just isn't up to snuff, it creates problems because one guy, specifically on this Nuggets team, one guy defensively is not going to change the entire outlook. This year's team specifically, KCP played a large part because of his screening defense, which again bolstered the entire defense. But when you take that away, we're left with so many holes in the defense that it becomes, I've used so many concerning, disheartening, frustrating. It truly is just baffling that so many plays during the year and during these games are just such easy buckets for the opposing team. And when I say easy, I mean uncontested drives to the rim. I mean soft double teams. I mean not paying attention to your guy, losing your guy on the perimeter, losing your guy on cuts, not communicating when there's a screen, not communicating when you need to switch off ball. The backline defensive rotations are still bad, which has been a constant issue. We don't have anyone really, I'm not going to say we don't have anyone that can contest a shot at the rim, but we just don't. Like it isn't in the Nuggets DNA to be able to stop shots at the rim. Like I said, they give up 67% when it comes to their opponent's field goal percentage inside of 5 feet. Wizards numbers, Jazz numbers. That's the company this team is in defensively. And it's upsetting. It's sad because I know a lot of it is that dog, is that effort. And this is something that the Nuggets unfortunately have lacked for years and years. They don't have that dog. Across the entire team, there's just not enough dog. Physicality hurts this team. Offensively and defensively, physicality gets inside this team's head. And it's a problem because once you get in your head, you're playing for the foul calls. You're complaining about the lack of foul calls. You're not playing your game. You're trying to get the refs to see something. I feel like many times throughout this season, the Nuggets they just lay down in front of strong offenses. And this isn't to say that they haven't had good defensive performances all year. Of course they have. Of course they have. You're going to get a few. The problem is that it's not a consistent effort. It's not a consistent will to want to be great at defense. Defense is effort. Defense is trying. And there are too many times where the Nuggets just don't try. Allowing so many blow-bys on the perimeter to the point where everyone and their mama, even if you're not a strong scorer, even if you're not a strong ball handler, is just going to get to the rim at will. They're going to put 2 feet in the paint and they're going to create an advantage for themselves. And they're going to create a disadvantage for the Nuggets. And they're going to create these situations. Once again, like I keep saying, the Nuggets got to scramble. And the last Clippers game, the team is so aggressive at trying to stop the three-point line that in that game, it cost them. Fouling three-point shooters late in the game. Being so aggressive on the three-point contest to the point where you are giving up those blow-bys and you're giving up advantages or disadvantages, 3-on-2s and yada yada. If we're selling out to guard the three-point line because 3 is greater than 2, and if the teams just start rattling off open threes, then it's going to be a problem for us. But it doesn't fucking matter when they keep raining down threes anyway. Because so many disadvantages are created for the Nuggets, someone is always going to be open. And that's the fucking problem. Someone's open every single play. Every single play, an opponent is open. An opposing player has a free shot. Whether they make it or not is up to them. But they're there. The chances are there. And that is a fucking problem. All it takes is effort to be there. Defensive IQ comes into play when you're playing off-ball defense. You're trying to read a play out. You're trying to read an action before it gets started. You're cutting off-ball screens. That sort of stuff. That's where the defensive IQ comes into play. But most of the shit, you just gotta do it. And that's the Nuggets just aren't doing it. Okay, sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Moving on to I guess we can talk about the rebounding in the backup big situation. Because, good God, man. Second chance points. What was it? It was 13 offensive rebounds that the Clippers had in that last game. 13 offensive rebounds to the Nuggets 7. And then giving up those subsequent second chance points. Again and again. Terrence Mann rebounds. Ivica Zubac rebounds. James Harden fucking rebounds. Derrick Jones offensive rebounds. Like, everyone and their mama got in on that action when it came to that Clippers game. Everyone. Like I said, the team gives up 12 offensive rebounds a game, which is the fourth most in the entire league. And for context, because we almost got doubled up on that offensive rebounding, and because the Clippers game ended up being just a 4-point game, on top of the lack of free throw shooting that this Nuggets team has a problem with, you lose games like that. You lose games with offensive rebounding. If you're just going to give up every fucking rebound to the opposing team, what do you think is going to happen when they get second, third, fourth chances? What do you think is going to happen? Which is why rebounding is so important. And I hate that so many people in this NBA space, not the players, not the coaches, but the fans, the viewers, the commentators, the analysts, so many people don't give rebounding the credit that it deserves, because so many times throughout this year, so many times throughout the last few years, the rebounding has been so weak. We're giving up these offensive rebounds, and we're giving these teams many more chances to put points on the board. Getting a stop, causing a missed shot don't fucking matter if the team within the span of 5 seconds is going to get the ball back and then put it up again and then score. You're not doing yourself any favors by giving up after causing a missed shot. So many times you'll watch this team, you'll see players outside of MPJ, outside of Jokic, outside of AG now that he's back, you'll just see this team not go for the boards that they need to. Peyton Watson last game versus the Clippers, offensive rebound that could have saved the game. You know what he did? He gave up the rebound. You know who was benched in that moment? MPJ, who had 7 boards at the time. You know he would have got that one. But rebounding is a problem. It's straight up, rebounding is a fucking problem. And it ties into the backup big situation where we're losing once again because, wait, what is it? Insanity. The definition of insanity, when you do the same thing over and over and over again and expect a different result and nothing happens of it. And it stays the same. The backup big situation in Denver is insanity. It's insanity. Because time and time again, year after year after year, there's no rebounding in the backup big situation. There's no positive minutes over a stretch of a full season for backup bigs in Denver. And it's a problem. I liked Saric coming to this team because I thought he'd be able to carry over the Jokic style of offense and be able to contribute positively when Jokic sat down. Saric doesn't defend. Saric offensively, as good a passer as he is, just isn't where he needs to be. Right now, Dario is shooting 30% from the field and 26% from 3. You can't see me. I'm throwing my hands up right now. Because what do you do? Do you play DeAndre Jordan more minutes? I don't feel like that's really the answer. You play Zeke Naji more minutes? I don't think that's really the answer. You play AG at the backup 5 more often? That just shortens the rotation. They played 8 people in that Clippers game and lost. If that's the playoff rotation, if that's the 8-man that we're going to go into the postseason with and say, hey, win us a title, we ain't winning shit. Straight up. We not winning nothing with this rotation. We'll be lucky to make it to the Western Conference Finals. And I don't give a damn. Like, this season, I don't give a damn how good the top end talent is. I don't give a damn how good this team is shooting from three now. All of a sudden, 39% from the field. Got a couple players shooting over 50% from three. It doesn't matter if you can't get a fucking stop. If you can't grab a rebound. If you can't stop the other team from getting whatever they want. A lot of that is perimeter play. Part of it is backup big play. It's just not there. It's not where it needs to be. Before we head into the to the Jamal Murray thing, because Jamal Murray he's as many people that want to believe that people are being too harsh on Jamal this year. I need y'all to step back a little bit. I need y'all to actually forget his past. Forget the fact that this is regular Jamal. He starts every season slow. We can't just be okay with that. He does not look good. And I guess we're just going to start talking about him now. Don't get me wrong. He's got good games this year. 28-6 versus the Heat on 53, 40, 100 splits. Good game. 27-6 and 5 stocks on 50-50. I believe that was versus the Grizzlies. Good game. The problem with Jamal is that it ain't happening consistently. I take exception to the people that whenever they see Jamal Murray criticism, just fall back to the don't criticize, we want a ring, yada yada, whatever the excuse is. It doesn't matter what he's done in previous Aprils, previous Junes, Mays, whatever. Right now, this season looks different. As a team, the team looks completely different than what they did. And Jamal is part of that because he's not consistent. He doesn't even average 20 points a game this year. And that is our second option. But his splits, man, 42 from the field, 33% from three, and 79% from the free throw line. That's something I touched on. The free throw shooting is just a problem. They missed 9 free throws versus the Clippers and lost by 4. They gave up 6 free throws in that fourth quarter just off of fouling three-point shooters. Lost by 4. But that's just a little side note. Free throw shooting doesn't really need that much of a section, bro. Just make your damn free throws. But back to Jamal, I'm not going to let people make me feel like I'm piling on. I watch basketball. I commentate on the basketball being played. I try to leave the personal attachment, the personal feelings about the team out of it. I commentate on the basketball that I'm watching. I analyze the basketball that's happening right in front of us this game, this week. That's what I talk about. And when I talk about Jamal, when I have been tweeting about him, he hasn't been good. Let's keep it a buck. Are we happy with what Jamal Murray is doing this year? Forget past seasons. Forget past postseasons. Are you happy with what Jamal is doing right now? Answer that question. Ask yourself that question honestly. Answer it honestly. No caping anymore. We're 20 games into the fucking season and nothing's changed. No more caping. And let me say this. If Jamal does turn it around and gets back up to previous year's form, okay. That does not make me wrong right now, though. And I think that's I don't want to keep that's what's wrong with the fan base. But when it comes to Jamal Murray conversations and criticism specifically, it's a lot of attaching to what he used to do. It's not about what he's doing right now. The Jamal Murray defender, I don't want to make it seem like I'm just anti-Jamal Murray. I'm just calling what I see. And so far, what we're seeing is not enough. It's just straight up not good enough. From a $200 million point guard. There are other problems with the team for sure, but there is a big responsibility, especially we keep talking about core four going to save us. The core four saved us during the championship year. Even with bad bench minutes, we won a ring. If we're going to praise this core four as much as we have been over the last few years, we need to hold them to that standard. Jokic has had his faults defensively, complaining, yada, yada. Michael Porter Jr., I don't want to say he's he hasn't had a bad season whatsoever. I think his fourth quarter minutes need to be touched a little bit. They need to be up and he needs to be involved in more clutch situations. But Michael Porter Jr. is having a good year. He's on 41%, 41% from three, 50% from the field. Christian Brown's doing his part. Aaron Gordon just came back, but before that, shooting the lights out, doing his part. Russell Westbrook from the field could be shooting better, but from three, the man is shooting 36%. He's bringing energy, he's bringing defense, he's bringing passing and playmaking off of that bench when we needed it. Julian Strawther has been disappointing. He's shooting 41% from three this year, but still a little bit disappointing, especially defensively. Dario Saric has been disappointing. DeAndre Jordan doesn't really play because he's old. Vlatko is hurt again. Zeke Naji's bad. Trey Alexander's a rookie. PJ Hall is not an NBA player yet. Hunter Tyson has been getting some minutes here and there, but once again, still so young, still so unpolished, not there yet. So now where is there else to look as well? Jamal fucking Murray. We need him to be a reliable 20-plus point scoring second option. And we're just not getting it. And that's a problem no matter how you slice it, no matter what you look at in the past. That is a problem right now. I'm at a point with Jamal. I want to see one of two things. Either I want to see 25 points from him, maybe every other or every third game or something. Or I'll take at least just 20 points on good efficiency. Like, I feel like that's not too much to ask, considering the feedback when Jamal is criticized is the fact that he's still a really good point guard. The fact that he used to turn it up in the past. Is 20 points on good efficiency too much to ask now? Is it a problem that we're asking for that? Let me know now. I don't like when people aren't able to criticize and call out when a player is playing bad. You can be a fan of somebody like I am. You can be a fan of a team like I am and still criticize them. A lot of the comments I see, you know, when the Nuggets are criticized, and a lot of those comments against that from the Nuggets fan base usually include just enjoy basketball. Just watch basketball. The team struggles on a night in, night out basis. How is that enjoyable? Am I supposed to just ignore the things that are going wrong for the sake of, quote unquote, being a good fan? If anything, I think being a good fan means that you're concerned. It means that you're willing to see and call out when the team is playing bad. Even if it, like, fucking obviously, us saying things on Twitter, on YouTube, whatever, is not going to get the team to change. That is an internal problem that they need to solve. But the fact that so many people, specifically me, because I've been tweeting a lot of negative Nugget stuff over the past 2 weeks, the responses I get from that are just so, like, it's frustrating. I watch basketball. I talk about hoops. I talk about the actual on-court product. And from the team, from Jamal, from whoever, it just is not good enough. And I'm going to say something about that. In my mind, in my perspective, you're not that great of a, quote unquote, great of a fan if you're not willing to say that the team is playing bad. If your response to people saying, damn, the team kind of sucks right now. Hey, Jamal kind of sucks right now. If your response to those statements is, you're a bad fan, or I'm not worried at all because later in the season, yada yada, or give me until February to yada. No. The West is fucking stacked. The Rockets just beat the Thunder. In your heart of hearts, as a Nuggets fan who does not like criticizing the Nuggets, in your heart of hearts, do you really feel like that the Rockets are a better team than the Nuggets right now? I personally think so, but you need to answer yourself that question, or ask yourself that question. I don't know, dude. I want to give out possible solutions. That was definitely on the agenda. But I don't know. Do you trade? You need to get better at certain positions. You need more depth pieces. But what do you trade? Who has value outside of the top four that is going to get us something that actually improves the team and improves the problem areas? Not just a name, but a skill set, a role. What player can we bring in? And what players can we give out that are actually going to improve that? Without losing out on stuff that we already have that is going good. So a trade? I don't know. I really don't know what's out there, because considering the salaries that are out there and the fact that this team is so top heavy when it comes to the salary cap. on the margins, what moves do you make? You can maybe expand the rotation, but again, like, we went down the list of players who are on the bench and don't really get minutes like that, and they just haven't performed in the little minutes that they do get. It hasn't been encouraging when we do see the bench pieces come in, the super depth pieces come in, the margin pieces. It's just not there. So expanding the rotation, not playing just 8 guys in the regular season, like we're still in December. We need these wins. This is not a situation this year where we can just be just about a 500 team and then by March turn it all the way up. That's not going to work. It's not going to work this year. I mean, what other solutions could it, like, do you punish bad defensive efforts? Do you threaten the team with benchings? Like, do you change the defensive scheme, which is obviously a player and a coach problem, but do we start, like, what do the Nuggets do? And this episode is more just to let these things fly, let these thoughts fly. But in doing so, I want some sort of solution. I'm brainstorming as I'm talking, as I'm writing these notes. I'm brainstorming. What can the team do different? What can they do to improve XYZ? How do they get better at rebounding? A lot of it, and it's unfortunate, but a lot of it is just effort. So I don't know what you do. It's 20 games. There's 10-8. There's 62 games left. 64, sorry. What do you do? Truly, with the rest of the season, and with other teams that have more capital, that have more trade capital, to be able to get some of those names that would boost up the Nuggets in their outlook on the year, how do you do that? How do you get better? I'm asking because I'm genuinely just lost. Like, I don't like the product that I'm seeing from the Denver Nuggets. I just don't like the product. And it sucks that my favorite team is not a fun watch on a night-to-night basis. Basically hoping and praying that this is the game where they fully dominate from start to finish. This is the game where they have a really strong first quarter, and I don't have to fucking complain about the first quarter that we're watching every night. I sent out a tweet during the Clippers game. I was like, yo, okay, this is exactly how the night's going to go. And I'm going to have it on the screen too. I'm going to complain about the first quarter because it's going to be bad. The second quarter, the Nuggets are going to cut the lead down, which they did. They tied the game up at halftime after being down by, 9 or 10 after the first quarter? So they did that. I said the third quarter was going to be back and forth, competitive, ended up being a 2-point quarter. Clippers walked out on top. And then I said the fourth quarter was going to be wholly disappointing for one of those teams. Now, it wasn't wholly disappointing, like my boy Dan said in the replies there. But it was disappointing because down the stretch, there were just some questionable personnel calls and rotations that just did not excite me. And it was disappointing. How that game ended was extremely disappointing. The 3-point fouls, the lack of free throw shooting, MPJ going 0 of 2 from the line. But hey, that's Nug life, right? That's the Nuggets. That's the Nuggets for you. But that's all I got. I definitely said I didn't want to make this a 45-minute episode, and the recording is at 44. So I'm gonna leave it off at that. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here while I ranted. I wish the Nuggets were just a little bit better this year. I don't want to have to walk into every game as if I'm like a fucking Chicago Bulls fan. I don't know if we're going to make it out of this game with a win or a loss or a blowout or a close fourth quarter game. Like, I don't know what to expect from the Nuggets anymore. I can't expect a win. Not this year. I can't expect a win. Even against the bad teams, I can't expect a win. Will they walk out with a win against most of the bad teams? Sure. The Nets, the Raptors, they beat the Jazz. But should I have faith in the fact that they are favorites every game? No. And I don't think anyone really should. And that doesn't make me a bad fan. It doesn't make you a better fan. That you do not want to see what's going on. It doesn't make me a bad fan that I want to be, or that I want the team to be better. It just isn't. But anyway, I've said goodbye 3 times now. This is the for real one. So thank you for watching. Y'all want to watch more videos on my channel, go for it. But yeah, thank y'all. I'll see y'all in the next one. Go Nuggets, but holy shit, man. Let's get a little bit better.